Hello everyone. I really love Buddha's teaching and I agree with him almost more than 95% of the times, whatever I have read. And from my own experiences, the way I look at things, I see he looked at things the same way, and that's why I really like him. We really like the people who are like minded, and I really like the people who are really real and see things as they are. So I decided to read books. I actually love practicing Vipassana rather than just going through the books, and I really never paid attention to reading books. But I experienced certain paranormal activities in these last 2 years very prominently. So I decided what means whether they were described in any Buddhist scriptures, because I failed whenever I read about such things. Like in short, 10 years back, I felt it was nonsense. Like I failed, I took it in other way, but after having paranormal experiences, I feel there is more than just these five senses. There are beings, and maybe they communicate with us, they try to communicate with us in certain mind states, not always, in certain mind states. And I think especially higher beings rather than lower beings, I feel so. And there are corrupt higher beings also, I feel. So there is a mention of paranormal incident and many incidences which I experienced even before reading the books. I experienced them, and then when I read Atanatya Sutta, I was like shocked. Means certain things were there, and I'll tell you what they were when I read Atanatya Sutta and its English translation, and it really helped me to stop certain voices which had, which were real, the voices which were captured by sale, like they were recommending me the videos uh, related to that word, and also whenever I got some voice calling me like Pia, Pia, and then I used to get some calls just after a few seconds of it. So then I realized that the voices are really real and not just my imagination, and they don't occur especially when I'm awake. They don't even occur when I'm asleep. They occur when I'm falling asleep. Means I'm not completely asleep, I'm not completely awake. In that state, these voices I hear, and they really have, they have connection with the reality. I have to pause, I have to stop and start again, because you never know, the hacker can stop my video and I have to just repeat everything again and waste my time. So as I mentioned, hacker deleted my video which I made just now, like few minutes back. It was 6 minutes video, and I mentioned certain things in that, but I'm not going to repeat those things again in this video and waste my time. I'm going to go ahead with this book. So this book name is The 31 Planes of Existence, and it is written by Venerable Subarno Mahathera. I think it's a cassette recording. It's from the cassette recording of this person. I'm not sure. This is The 31 Planes of Existence by Venerable Subarno Mahathera. I think he is a Chinese monk. I'm not sure about that thing. So let's start reading this book. Introduction. As I mentioned earlier, my hacker, I don't know who it is. That hacker is like ill, like mentally ill, seriously. That hacker just deleted my 6 minutes video, and I didn't even post it. Maybe that person didn't want me to post that video. And anyways, I had already spoken about those things in previous videos, like 31 planes of existence, which are mentioned in Sayaji Ubakhin's book. And there are different rings and world system. For example, our world system is here. There is one sun. World system means there is a sun, there are planets, and each sun and there are planets, and in that chain or in that system, that is called as world system. Each world system has one sun and 31 planes of rings in that system related to that sun. There can be different planets revolving around that sun, and those planets can have different ring beings. That's what they mean. That's what I got. And our world system has this sun and this, you know, planets. Earth having inhabiting human beings and animals. I'm not sure whether it inhabits gods and brahmas. Maybe they reside in somewhere else in the space or on some other planets, I don't know, or just a mind state and floating above the ground or above the gross planets. I'm not sure about that thing. That's not my experience. So yeah, the rest things I'm not going to repeat. I'm going to go ahead with this book. So this is 31 Planes of Existence. The name of this book is The 31 Planes of Existence, and it is by Venerable Suvarno Mahathera. I'm not sure if he is a Chinese monk. So let's start with the book. It has got 80 pages. I have finished reading this book, but I would like to read it again for you all because I really like to communicate with the like-minded people, and I know that so many people don't read books like I used to do, but as I have a free time, I can read books, I can learn Pali. So let's start with this book. Okay, so this book dedication. This book is dedicated to all devotees of Venerable Acharya Suvarno Mahathera. May they enjoy the highest of blessings. Not to associate with fools, to associate with the wise, and to honor those who are worthy of honor. This is the highest blessing. Acknowledgement. It is a Pali lines are there, but it's English script. So it's like, it goes like this. Asevanacha balanam panditanam cha sevana puja cha pujaniyam niyanam etam mangalam uttamam. Actually, this English is not, it's not a good translation because I'm learning Pali, I'm reading Pali, I'm trying to learn Pali, and it's not the, like, not proper way to write Pali in English. So I got the right way, so forgive me if I'm wrong in pronouncing certain suttas here. So acknowledgement. Grateful acknowledgement is extended to all those who have helped, each in his or her special way, to make this Dhamma book and the audio facilities available. Special thanks to KLA, Hoi Hun and Vivian Chong for their remarks. It sounds like Chinese, these names. Proofreading and various contributions to the English language edition. Special thanks to Peter Babka and Liber Sulab from the Czech Republic and Li Tian Kin for their contributions to the success of the sound system. Sisters Jacqueline Koo and NGY Fung for their vocal contribution. And most of all, a very special thank you to Venerable Bhante Acharya Suvarno Mahathera in allowing us to bring his Dhamma messages to all Dhamma seekers. So let's start this book. Introduction. Let me pause and start again. Let me stop and start again. Okay, so in this book, 31 planes of existence are given in more elaborate way, and I read these 31 planes of existence from Sayaji Ubakim book. There you can see the world systems, and there are so many world systems. Like there's like each world system has one sun and the planets and 31 planes, 31 rings of existence, and there are so many, like thousands and millions of, how many, like millions, maybe millions, billions, trillions of world system in the universe. So we are not alone as per Buddha's knowledge and enlightenment and experience, and the way he used to communicate with other beings telepathically and could see things which normal beings cannot see, like normal human beings cannot perceive. So, according to him, we are not alone in the space, and there are beings and there are different realms of existence, like we can call them as aliens. So, introduction. One of the main tenets in the Buddha's teachings is that all things happen due to a cause. In the context of birth and death, these two phenomena are actually one process. Death is followed by immediate rebirth in accordance with a law known as the law of causality. Death signals the end of a phase of karma, and at that point, the beginning of the next phase of karma gives immediate rebirth in another plane of existence as dictated by the quality of the karma arising at that moment in time. I can do no better than to append herewith some pertinent writings by Angarika Sugatananda Francis Story on the spirit world in introducing the 31 planes of existence by Venerable Bhante Sumanna. So there is another writer here, Angarika Sugatananda Francis Story, and that is on the spirit world. He is saying that he can do no better than this. So let us read this book also that he has referred or mentioned here later on. In accordance with the universal law of causality, death is followed by immediate rebirth in one of the 31 planes of existence as a result of previous karma. That is to say, as being arises in the appropriate sphere to which past conscious actions and habitual tendencies culminating in the death proximate karma or last conscious thought moment have led him. If his actions of the three types, mental, physical, and vocal, manifesting in thought, action, and speech, have been directed by a purified consciousness, he will re-manifest in higher plane of or Brahmaloka. If they have been of mixed type, he will be reborn in one of the intermediate spheres of the Kamaloka, world of desire or sensory gratification. If his karma has been predominantly bad, with a strong reflex at the moment of death, he will be reborn in what are called the Duggati, unhappy states, including the world of earthbound spirits or Petaloka. The death proximate karma is an important factor in deciding the immediate rebirth. It may be good or bad, but whichever it is, it tends to be the state of mind characteristic of the individual in his previous life, which takes possession of his last moments of consciousness before it leaves the body. Thus, a person whose predominant characteristic is a mental attitude of hate will at once re-manifest in a form embodying his hatred as that is his death proximate karma, induced by habitual past thoughts. If he has cultivated metta and karuna, benevolence and sympathy, it is that consciousness that will arise in higher plane where these characteristics manifest. The most common type of habitual consciousness is neither of active love nor active hatred, but desire, tanha. It is desire and attachment that bind the individual to the wheel of samsara. They provide the motives of all activities. Hatred and love themselves arise from the root cause of desire. Love towards the object of attraction, hatred when the desire is thwarted. Most karma, therefore, is of mixed type and its effects alternate in the experiences of the future life in the Kamaloka. The world wherein we now find ourselves is in Kamaloka, as it is one of the spheres dominated by desire and sensual attachment. The highest doctrine of the Buddha teaches the basic truth of anatta, which means that even in the earthly life continuity of the individual, there is no persistent or unchanging entity. All things are in a condition of flux, a casual continuum of successive thought movements and material conformations arising and passing away in obedience to the law of dependent origination. That which is developed by mental discipline and spiritual purification is not a personality but a tendency. An infant carries the latent tendencies of the past existence and the seeds of the future life before it, but the child of 5 is not the same personality as the subsequent boy of 15 or man of 15. Body, mind, and all the elements will have changed many times between these stages of the individual's life. When we allude to them as the same person, we are only using a necessary convention. There is no identity linking the child of 5, the boy of 15, and the man of 50. There is only a causal continuity because the child existed, the man exists, and his personality is the aggregate of his thoughts, words, actions, and experiences during the intervening period. It is the function of memory alone which gives this causal continuum an appearance of being an identical personality continuous in time. When age or any organic alteration of the physical brain causes the faculties to decay, further changes of character or personality arises, this time caused solely through change in the material structure of the body. This is further explained in the Buddhist doctrine of anicca, impermanence of all phenomena. We are better we are in a better position to understand what actually takes place at death and rebirth. The being that is reborn bears the same relationship, a causal one, to the being of the previous life as the boy of 15 does to the child of 5, or the man of 50 to the boy of 15. It is the same person only in the sense that one carries on the cause effect current of the other. To use a familiar illustration, if we knew a boy of 15 and then lost sight of him until he reached the age of 50, we should find scarcely anything by which to recognize him, unless he bore some unusual physical characteristic of a kind to endure all his life. Even his own mother would not be able to identify him. A section of the Buddhist scriptures, the Petavattu, describes the state of those reborn in the Duggati spheres and how they can be helped by the living. The word Peta may be roughly translated as ghost, though it is related to the Sanskrit Pitri, meaning ancestor. In the Peta Vattu, it is shown that those reborn in the spirit world nearest the earth plane often have an inferior type of consciousness to that with which they were equipped in their previous existence. Far from having access to wider realms of knowledge, they re-manifest with a limited consciousness and intellect, with imperfect memory of the past life and inhabiting a vague, indeterminate half-world. At the same time, because of their strong attraction to the sphere they have left, their contacts with it are relatively easier and more frequent than those of beings in the higher lokas. In a sense, they exist side by side with the living. The step between their place and ours is only small and one easily taken by the psychically sensitive. It is from these beings that the trivial messages and meaningless phenomena emanate. They have not the same personality they had on earth, but retain only the accumulated characteristics most predominant in that personality. This condition prevails until that particular karma resultant is exhausted, when they reborn once again in the ceaseless round of samsara, from which final escape is only possible through the realization of Nibbana. On the human Manusa level of the Kamaloka, there is a pain and pleasure, good and evil, hatred and love. It's a sphere of opposites from which we, as free agents, have to make our own choices for the fulfillment of our evolution. All the lokas must be regarded as planes of consciousness which are attainable in the physical body. In effect, while still on earth, we can raise ourselves to the plane of our choice and will inevitably re-manifest there when the term of earthly existence is ended. But any law, to be a true universal principle, must operate both ways. We cannot logically expect the cosmic law to work only in our favor. If it did, there would be no point in man's freedom of choice in moral issues. Where it is open to man to go upward, forward, it must be open to him to descend in the scale of spiritual evolution also. Greed, hatred, sensuality, and inertia all have their appropriate spheres of manifestation and their corresponding corporeal forms. When these types of consciousness arise more frequently than their spiritual opposites of generosity, love, purity, and energy, they create the form of the next birth. It is at death that the Jekyll and Hyde metamorphosis takes outward effect, not by any process of transmigration or passing of a soul from one body to another, but in accordance with the subtle and universal law of causality which rules the cosmos. The lower planes of the spirit the lower planes of the spirit world are peopled by creatures imperfect in form and subhuman in the intellect. The direct result of misuse of their faculties during earthly life, spirits such as these linger about the places with which they were associated in life, drawn thither by the strong force of attachment, and they're able to make use of psychically defenseless persons to make their contact with the world for which they crave. Themselves living in a dim and cheerless world, they seek to share the life they once knew, as a cold and homeless traveler looks with longing into a warm and comfortable room where friends are seated round a glowing fire. Impermanence is the inherent nature of all conditions, and neither suffering nor heavenly happiness last forever. In time, the karma that produces them runs its course, and another phase of existence is entered. So, the state of these unhappy beings is only temporary, far from having greater knowledge and power than human beings. They have less, and the teaching of Buddhism is that they should be regarded with compassion. They can be held by the loving thoughts of the living, and good deeds done in their names can, if they take advantage of the opportunity offered by rejoicing in these deeds, alleviate their unhappiness. The method of doing this by psychic dedication is also fully dealt with in the Pali commentaries and is regularly practiced in all Buddhist countries. Francis Torrey, an eminent student of Buddhism, and the description of the 31 planes by the Venerable Acharya Suvarno Mahathera should serve to answer some questions regarding the relationship of birth and death in the Buddha's cosmology. In the Chinese tradition of reckoning age, the Venerable Acharya Suvarno Mahathera will be 82 in this year of 2001. From the age of 12, he has been practicing the Buddha's teachings, progressing gradually and painstakingly until today, where he finds himself immersed totally in the nitty-gritty of teaching the Dhamma to one and sundra as and when the demand falls on him. These constant and sometimes urgent demands on his time, sometimes the demand can come as early as 2 a.m., as when there is knock on his door and he is called to the bedside of a dying devotee to chant for the favorable rebirth of said devotee, mean that his time is not his own. Such has been the case with Bhante for the better part of his life as practicing monk. It has always been devotees come first, no matter that he has no time to practice for his own salvation. It is rare indeed that a call from a devotee is ignored. Even the whimpering of a stray dog has his ear, or the mewing of a hungry cat has his immediate attention. He has been known to stop halfway in a Dhamma talk to inquire why a certain puppy is whimpering piteously in fear. Please do not ill-treat the poor little puppy, for he has raged forth. Someone tried to drown the poor thing. Please treat it with compassion. A dying fish in an artificial lily pond, bring immediate action on his part to return all the fishes to the river and do away with the pond all by himself. The plight of a fellow monk in Yangon struck down with a stroke takes him immediately to that city to arrange for hospitalization, up-to-date medical care and nursing. Further on arriving home, organizing medical funds for repatriation for the expenses of the sick monk. Many too are Theravada meditation centers in Malaysia and Myanmar that have benefited from his advice and financial assistance when such centers were in the beginning stages of organization. Needless to say that this list of beneficiaries is long. In the period of his monkhood, a period of 21 years, the Venerable Bhante has given his time for the welfare of those who came to seek help and advice in the many facets of life experiences, from happiness to sadness, simple problems to problems of more serious nature. Amongst his many memorabilia throughout the years of his monkhood that he will leave the posterity are cassette tapes of his Dhamma talks in the Hokkien dialect. On these tapes are recorded various topics of Dhamma as expounded by the Buddha in his 45 years of ministry. Sabbe Sankhara Anicchati. All compounded things are impermanent. As such, and at such times when we are unable to hear the original Bhante Suvarno in the flesh speaking to us in his inimitable way. There will be available a new series of Dhamma books and cassettes in English, Hokkien, and Mandarin dedicated to his life's work on the path, beginning with number one in this new series of Dhamma talks will be the 31 planes of existence, and following will be such titles as the 16 dreams of King Pasenadi, the story of King Vasantara, etc. These Dhamma talks in Hokkien currently on audio tapes will be transcribed into English, edited and translated to Mandarin, and eventually recorded onto CDs. This series will have a serial number for easy identification. Since 1990, when he was 70 years of age, Bhante Suvarno had hinted that he would soon retire into seclusion. The conditions had never been appropriate enough for the event to happen. However, as time passes by, he fully realizes the urgency of concentrating on the true reason for his renunciation. Mere acts of reverence cannot be deemed to honor, esteem, venerate, and worship the Tathagata rightly. Only the bhikkhu, lay disciple, who practices fully according to the teaching, who is endowed with correctness in the practice of the teachings, and who lives with righteousness and truth, can be deemed to honor, esteem, venerate, revere, and worship the Tathagata in the highest degree. In the eyes of Bhante Suvarno, the highest degree of veneration is to practice Vipassana Bhavana as recommended by the Buddha. In concluding this introduction to the new series of Dhamma books that are forthcoming, we on the editorial board conjoin our felicitations with all who shared in making this Dhammaduta possible, financially and service-wise, by wishing dear Bhante Suvarno, may safety and comfort in the Dhamma be your blessings. May goodwill and sincerity be your strength. May mental and physical well-being be the twin pillars of the bridge that takes you to the shore of Nibbana. Gino Massa, October 2001. So I just completed 17 pages of introduction of this book, 31 Planes of Existence. From tomorrow I can start this 31 Planes of Existence in proper, like Kamaloka, then Brahmaloka, Aribrahmaloka, like that, in order. So yeah, enough for today. Bye. Good night.